Wow, it's still raining up here. And what do you think I'm going to do today on this rainy day, driving this nice new used 2020 Mustang GT Performance Package lowered Oxford White? Did I say enough? So follow me along. What am I going to do? This is the first time I'm really driving the car. You know, even though I've got a ton of these, right? Anybody be like, gee, you mean you're driving a Mustang? Don't you have like a Mustang? Or two? Or three? Or four? Or five? Or six? Holy crow. Oh my gosh. Crazy. Yeah, I agree. Crazy. Yeah, so the kid's got her little thing here, Air Fuel. She hasn't driven this, you know. She drove it home from dealership, and that's it. So now let's do our little thing here. We get the sport mode. There you get that exhaust, huh? But in all reality, think about it. Today, I should be in wet. Snow wet, I don't know about that. Yeah, sport, probably not the best idea, right? That wet, it does give you better control, if you know what I mean by that. So, all right. Time to get on the road, and you're saying, what are you doing on a rainy day? I mean, I said this yesterday, if you watched my video, you know, why would you drive a nice performance car on a rainy day? Unless you just only have, you know, one vehicle. If you have more than one vehicle, I wouldn't drive this thing on a rainy day. But yet here I am driving it on a rainy day, right? So you're probably saying, yeah, gee, what's so important about that today, right? Yeah, which really, in all sincereness, there's nothing radical. I just figured I'd get on the projects. Yeah, you know, what's interesting here is I can tell, which I didn't notice this, you know, the first time I drove it, but I had the windows down, I think, too. But I can sense somebody smoked in this car. So that's the first time I've kind of, I'm in second gear right now, starting off. How about that, huh? These Mustangs just have a lot of good torque. So yeah, I can actually smell for the first time. This thing has, was this a guy or gal? My guess is it was a guy, but you know, no offense, ladies, could have been a gal. But you know, they smoked in this car. That's something. Yeah, it's interesting more than ever that, you know, how many people are vaping. So it's probably vaping. I didn't really even think about that anymore today. That seems to kind of be the big thing, is the vaping. So, you know, maybe that's what it is. But it smells like cigar, or I shouldn't say cigar, because I smoke cigars. Do I smoke cigars like all the time? No. You know, I have a cigar here and there when I smoke a cigar in my car. And nope, ain't doing that. You know, so it's a cigarette smell for sure. And I guess I have to put some air fresheners in here. Or just drive down the road a lot with the windows open. But you know what happens? I think what happens, it gets into the headliner, you know, so that's what, you know, is the challenge. The smoke goes up in the air. So, but you know, when you buy a used car, that's the variables that you have. You know, if you buy used cars, and if you look at my track record, you know, my cars, majority of the time, are all new cars. But like I've talked about in conversations here, the used car market, new car market, it's a whole new world. Which I didn't go into much in that the other day. And now, I don't even know if there's going to be a Sunday car show because it's supposed to be raining. I don't know about you, but I'm not really up for going to a car show and hanging out. And, you know, in the rain. I mean, you know, really? I think I can do other things with my time, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, so I think kind of today, I'll make this kind of the Saturday morning conversations. How about that idea? Yeah, so today's conversations, I think, should be about the used car market. And the reason I say that is, and I think it should be about the car dealer industry. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that I don't think a lot of people think about. And I think more than ever, I think people should start connecting the dots. Is that the theme? Connecting the dots. And you know, for me as an individual, my, you know, YouTube channel is all about the cars. But at the same time, you know, with cars comes economic challenges. You know, I mean, if you're anybody who's been around long enough and has to pay your bills, which, you I'm no rich guy. I'm just a crazy guy that is able to pay the banks to keep my cars. And trust me, there's been many stories where I couldn't keep my cars and because I couldn't pay the banks anymore. So, I'm just a crazy guy. I think some people think I'm this multi-millionaire, rich-ass guy that just has so much money that I don't know what to do with it. No, I'm just a car motorhead to the max that's just crazy on managing, paying for cars, and have relationships with banks. That's why, if you don't realize, a year ago, I was getting rid of a ton of cars. I went from having 34 vehicles down to having like 16 vehicles or 20 vehicles. I got rid of a lot of vehicles. When I say vehicles, not only cars and trucks, and SUVs, but, utility vehicles, side-by-sides, ATVs, dirt bikes, motorcycles. So I shedded a lot of stuff. So, going back to connect the dots, so the used car market, one of the biggest, dealer operations up here in the Virginia, D.C. area is under the Koons. Jim Koons is, one of the biggest, as far as I know, has the most dealerships in this area. I could be wrong on that. I don't think he does, Orsman or Browns does, but I could be wrong. But, there's a lot of big players in this market. It's a big area. So, the day I bought my white Mustang, which I'm driving right now, the Koons organization had a huge meeting of all the, for used cars. It was the used car meeting. So all the key used car guys had to go, and all the general manager guys had to go. And it was like an all-day event. So you have to ask yourself, what's going on? What's going on? Well, what's going on is these car dealerships, the Ford brand specifically, I'm not saying the other ones don't have the same challenges, but Ford, I've talked about this many times. Ford no longer will ship dealer-ordered stock vehicles. Only vehicles that will be coming in from this point on is factory-ordered customer orders. So they will no longer have new dealer stock inventory. Anything that's on their lot in the future, for the most part, will be a customer-ordered vehicle. They just haven't picked it up yet. So the Ford network's going to have to revamp its whole strategies of selling cars. The running joke has been for years, new car dealers are in business to get used cars because used cars bring bigger profits. So now the real reality is Ford dealers are now the used car market. They're the CarMax. They're really the CarMax now of the dealers. And I think that Toyota's going to follow. I haven't heard much about, I even think Ram and Dodge and Jeep. I think most automotive manufacturers from this pandemic-related challenge are revamping, re-strategizing their future of sales of vehicles. So the used car market now is their gravy to stay in business, to the point that the Koons organization, had a major meeting because they're strategizing. How do they continue to make things work? Because unbeknownst to most, dealerships today are selling half or a third of what they used to sell. So I've said this many times too. These big dealerships can sell 500 cars a month, and they're no longer doing that. They're now selling 200 cars a month or 100 cars a month. So even to the point that people are taking pay cuts and they try to salvage people. They're saying, hey, here's a group of people here standing in front of me. If you guys don't take pay cuts, you all stay here. If you don't, somebody has to leave. One or two, you have to leave. So it's very challenging. People think that these car dealerships are making the money during the pandemic. Those days are over. It's a whole new ball game. Where a car sales guy, good car sales guy is selling 20, 25 cars a month. He's probably now lucky to sell 10 or 15. And then the guy that isn't so great, that was struggling to sell 10, he's probably selling 3 to 5. So everything's changed. And you take out the equation of the salespeople and the finance directors and, take those guys away of the conversation. Let's talk about the back end of the shop. Let's talk about the people that are working, the cleanup department, all right? Those people used to see probably 500 to 800 cars a month, because keep in mind that dealers were getting boatloads of dealer inventory along with customer order cars. So there's a lot of variables there where the cleanup guys could have been doing easily, 500 to 700 cars or more a month just in the preparation to have for dealer inventory that weren't even sold vehicles. So you take the equation that person now is cleaning maybe 100, 200 cars, that angle, and then you take the equation of the company that supplies the car wash supplies to clean the cars. They've seen that, usage go from half to a third. You look in the back end of the shop for the PDI guys that are getting cars prepped and ready to go out the door. That guy went from doing maybe 500 to 700 cars to maybe doing 100, 200 cars. And you go to you just start adding up all these little things that are going on in the automotive industry. And I've always said, growing up, when I was in high school and I started working at a gas station, my eyes started opening up more and more to understand how the world works. I've always have said, this country, wasn't for the cars in this country, we'd be a third world country. Because if you look at the cars, the infrastructure that revolves around cars, it's massive. You're talking about, the gas station industry, you're talking about the insurance industry, you're talking about the computer industry, you're talking about the manufacturing industry, this whole country is connected to cars. I mean, it's literally everything is cars and trucks and SUVs. And so now, here we are after this pandemic and supply chain issues, more than ever, the whole automotive industry is being rewritten, because of the challenges of supply and demand. And at the same time, things are changing the dynamics of the financing, the rates. So there's a lot of variables starting to play out. And plus, I don't think that people are doing as well as they were 2-3 years ago because of the inflation. Everything's more expensive, the hardships. So during the pandemic, there was a lot of free money floating around, and there was a lot of free borrowing money around. So all those dynamics are changing. So you have to say to yourself, wow, what are we getting ready to witness in this car market over the next year to 2 years? And I think that we're getting to witness some very challenging times. And I've mentioned many times in my videos too that more than ever, it was hard to believe, but more than ever, I think that these vehicles are have incredible values. And everybody knows that their car today is worth far more than it was 3 years ago. Oh, it's a nice rainy day. This car is so great. These Mustangs, I mean, for me, fortunately, I've had a lot of success with them. I do know that there are stories of not such a great experience between motors and transmissions. I mean, I do know that, and I do know that with a lot of manufacturers, there's a lot of sad stories. Cars, regardless of what brand you have. So, but so far, this car is just so, it's a really comfortable car. I mean, I sometimes kind of am critical of the seats. I think some of the seats are a little better than other seats in these cars. I guess the premium package, you kind of, hopefully you get a little upgrade seat, which I believe you do. I wish this had the memory. This doesn't have the memory seat, which I think that's really nice, which gives you the capability. My kid drives it, then I drive it. I can just, jump in the car. But this doesn't have that package. Like the Bullet has that. I believe my GT500 has that. I believe my Mach 1 has that. I believe my GT350 has it, but this here doesn't. Even though this wasn't a cheap car right out of the gate. I think the MSRP in this was like $52. I gotta get the window sticker for this damn thing. I saw it, but I need to print it out and keep it. So the ongoing, used car market, which is really interesting. Manheim predicted last year, I think it was early 2021, that the used car market was pretty much done. That the highest price of used car values had seen its day, and pretty much from that point on, used car market was going to start to see a decline in values. Talk about that company had no clue what they were talking about. I could be wrong about me in Manheim, but some big auction house that really is like the dominant player in the market. That's amazing. I was never a wholesale car guy. I mean, I should have done that. I mean, you think about it. For all the cars I've owned, just me buying them and keeping them and flipping them. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I've got a company I have to run, so it's not that easy to just jump and do that stuff. But at the same time, Jesus Christ, I should have done that. I'm just amazed. Pretty amazing I never got in the car industry, for as much as a motorhead I am. But at the same time, I always felt it would kind of ruin my passion for cars, because you look at them differently once you're on the other end of, selling and buying cars. They're just an object that you're moving. So I always kind of felt if I went in the car market, my passion would probably be different for the vehicles. I get all that. But anyways, so you go back over a year ago, the used car market was predicted to tamer down. And even I have a video, my own video in my office, talking about used car prices. And so, even for myself, I thought that the heyday of the market would be pretty much done by last summer. And I even felt that, possibly, the new car production would start to possibly come back to life, not full, but better than it was. And so here's the thing. All of those evaluations are all wrong. Myself and the manufacturing is even more challenging. It's even gotten worse. So, and here we are now in May of 2022, and car dealers are now struggling due to inventory challenges. It isn't that people aren't walking the door to buy a car. That isn't the challenge. The challenge is people want a car, but they can't get on a car. So, and for me, I just think that as the time progresses and the year progresses, later in the year or first next year, I think that the demand for cars is going to change some, just because of the economic hardships that I think that are potentially on our doorstep of the future. Some people are like, well, I'm still looking for the good news. I mean, if you think about it, when do you hear really good news? All I hear is inflation. All I hear is gas prices. All I hear is, challenges for businesses to get products. The list goes on and on and on and on. I mean, at some point you have to say to yourself, it seems like the news is more negative than positive. That's kind of an underlying message if you think about that. Especially like, whenever you worked at a job where all you hear is negative comments all the time about your job, how does that usually play out? You're probably not going to have a job anymore. Yeah, so anyways, so I just think that right now, more than ever, it's really interesting that we're in the car industry, and in my lifetime, I would have never, ever imagined that the used car values, you buy a car usually, and the value just tanks on it, and you go to a car dealership, and there's really no new cars, and you go to a car dealership, and the haggling days are done. There ain't no haggling. Okay, sure, we'll give you some money off, right? But the $10,000, $20,000 off the F-150 truck, those days are done. They're gone. Be so lucky to get one. That's where it's all at. So I'm curious if anybody else, what their thoughts are. These YouTuber guys that I watch, it's always, hey, what do you think of this? Say some comments. Post a comment. Post a comment to get the interaction, your YouTube base, right? And so, yeah, hey, I like to hear comments. You don't like, any of us YouTubers, You know, we don't like hearing the negative comments, you know. That's a challenge, but you know, it's a YouTube channel, you know. The goal is to have some fun and share information that helps others. That's my goal. Is, hey, if I can find out things and help you, that's a win for me. If I can share with you that, oh, that car I bought, oh yeah, it was really a bad experience, or oh, I got that car, that was really cool, it's really great. Oh, this product's really nice. Yeah, I really like it. Or nah, it's not so great. You know, and I've had so many vehicles. I think I have the credentials to tell people, yeah, what it is and what it ain't, you know? So, yeah, I'm driving the GT today. Car's running great if you're listening to it. It's just a great car. I mean, you know, the Mustang, you know, it's incredible how the Ford Mustang took my passion away from the Challengers. I mean, I'm not, you know, and some Challenger people that follow me, they're going to be like, oh my God. I'm with you. Why? I'm with you. You know, I've just had so many Mopars. Growing up, I'm going to tell you, I was never a Mustang guy. I was a Mopar guy. I loved the Cudas. I wasn't even a Camaro guy. You know, my passion was Corvettes and Mopars. It was never the Camaro per se. I had one, but I was never satisfied with the Camaro. I've owned a few. And then I was just never a Mustang person. Never. So I tell you, it's incredible. Anyway, so here I am. I'm driving over today to get the windows tinted on a rainy ass day from my buddies at LA Tint. It's a Saturday. I never go over there on a Saturday, but I thought today's such a lousy day. Maybe I'll take some time to go do this. The kid doesn't know I'm doing it either. And what I'm doing is, this is going to be the mod car. The mod car. How about that? See, that's one thing that I can't emphasize enough. Like my Mach 1 Mustang, am I going to mod that? Yeah, a little bit, but nothing radical. You know, nothing radical. My GT350, you know, would maybe get exhaust. This is all about the exhaust. I'd do something to the exhaust maybe. GT500, it's fine the way it is. So, for this car here, I just freaking ordered a lift. I mean, you know, people have told me many times, why don't you get a lift for your shop? Well, the challenge is, the way my shop's laid out, it would just kill my parking and getting in and out of the shop capability, the way it's designed. But I found the Max Jacks, I think is what they call it, or Jacks Max. Actually, Home Depot's a distributor for them. I'm really excited. I have a Home Depot account. Jesus Christ, that thing ain't cheap. I'm reading on the internet like 2 years ago, it was like $3,000. Now it's like $4,000. So I just ordered a 5,000-pound lift so that I can work on my Mustangs. Yeah, if you're like, how much money did you just spend? Well, I've got 4 Mustangs, so really 6. Yeah, let me put the Mach-E's on the lift and look at the bottom, right? Yeah, it's just a frying pan, right? Yeah. So I just, for the first time ever, I've ordered a lift. What's really cool at this lift, it's removable. You know, you anchor it, you put these flush mount anchors, so it makes it so you can bolt it down so it's secure, but the thing's movable so you can move out of the way when you're not using it, which that's what I need. But here's what I'm going to do. I just ordered a Corsa pipe setup where I'm going to delete the resonators and I'm going to get some more exhaust note out of this car. And I just got to thinking to myself, I think that from Lethal Performance, that's my buddies where I go to. I went to Lethal Performance, talked to Jake, and he got me set up so that I can put on my X-pipe, H-pipe, wherever the hell it is. And I can delete my resonator to open up the noise. I still have my cat back, so I'm still emission compliant, but I get a little bit more noise out of this thing. So my kid is so excited about this. So probably next week I'll get the pipe, and then the 16th of May is when I'm supposed to get the package. And so hopefully, not this coming week, but the following week, I'll do a YouTube video of me installing the pipe on this car. and and to get the before and after effect. And what I got to thinking about was it'd be pretty cool to do my Mach 1, to do my GT350. So I at least do 2-3 of those vehicles just on that. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of hard to digest the price I just paid for that lift, if you know what I mean. But at the same time, do your oil changes, do your tire rotation. Like you're doing tire rotation on your Mustangs, right? Yeah, unless you did all the same size tire or wheel package. And so anyways, that'll be a YouTube video for the future. And then the thing is, since it's only a 5,000 pound lift, it's not like I'm going to put my Bronco on there, but the Bronco sits up so high, you can just crawl underneath those things in my trucks. So yeah, it took me some time to come to closure with that lift. I think I'm crazy personally, but I guess it's got value, right? If I use it and say, hey, but sometimes you buy things. I can't emphasize enough. I have bought stuff like years ago. You go like 15 plus years ago, I bought a dump trailer. And it really kind of helped my business because what I do, and having to double dig and double unload, oh my God. So, I bought that thing, but I just felt guilty of buying it. And I gotta tell you what, I have used the hell out of a dump trailer. Even though when I was getting ready to buy one, I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a waste of money. It's just me getting lazy and wanting to shovel dirt out of the back of my truck, or whatever. You go to the mulch place and shovel dirt out of your bed of your truck. But I gotta tell you what, that dump trailer has been worth every penny. I mean, I've bought like 3 or 4 dump trailers now in the last 12, 15 years or whatever. I think I bought my first one back in like 2004 or 5. That's I think was the first Brymar 6x. It was like a 6x10. It wasn't real big. But going back to, I get this lift, and I don't know, man. I just think to myself, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money for how much do I use it? But hey, the kid really wants to get involved too. So here's the thing, kind of get the daughter involved, kind of teach her how to do some mechanical things. She's got some basic mechanical skills, nothing radical. Even though she really wanted to take, automotive mechanics in one of her schools. I'm not lying. My wife's like, no, she ain't doing that. I'm like, no, I don't know. In today's world, yeah, I tell you, get the girls' garage. I mean, come on. Yeah, how are those girls doing for turning wrenches, right? Pretty good. Things makes me think about that first girl that got that show going, that killed herself trying to beat her own land speed record, which is a really sad story. Jessie something. I just can't remember her last name. I think her name was Jessie, and really sweet, good girl, and just a really tragic, sad story that the vehicle she did, she wanted to beat her own land speed record. So she already set a land speed record, but she wanted to beat her own land speed record. It's just so sad, really, that she should have waited till somebody else beat her land speed record. And the sad story is the vehicle she drove wasn't driver error, it was mechanical failure that obliterated her, so a really sad story there. But the whole point is, that was a young lady that got going, motorhead, and and she rose to very high, she did phenomenal. All right, we're going to LA Tint on this rainy day, just talking about the used car market, new car market, and the trends and the change of where we are, and how more than ever that your car today is worth more than it's ever been worth ever before. And car dealerships are scrambling to get product. And it's incredible. You'd think Carvana was doing fabulous. Carvana is bought out some big auction house, and they're in financial trouble. They had to have Apollo, who's a big bond market company, buy out Carvana's bonds. And part of the deal is that the Apollo's mandated they cannot pay those bonds back for like 5 years, so they get their returns in the bonds out of Carvana. So Carvana, believe it or not, even though I think it's a good operation. I know a lot of people have bad experiences. I didn't. I got a whole video of my 4Runner, and I think Carvana's revamped, helped reshape the automotive industry. I mean, I had a great experience of going on their website, looking for my Toyota 4Runner, getting a deal, them shipping my 4Runner from New Mexico all the way here to Maryland. I did a whole video on that, and it was a great experience. But I know they get some bad rap where their titling, their paperwork has been challenged. But what people don't know, this is what people don't understand. So like state of Florida, they've had a lot of problems in the state of Florida of getting registration correct for the vehicles. Well, unbeknownst to other people, it's smoke and mirrors. The Automotive Dealer Association in Florida despises Carvana. They hate them. So there's just no doubt in my mind that the Dealer Automotive Association is making it very difficult for Carvana to do transactions in Florida because they feel like they're circumventing their business. So what's not told to people is you hear these stories where Carvana is having challenges getting people's license plates and registration. Well, there's a lot behind that because these automotive dealers get together, the Automotive Dealer Association in these states, and they want to ban certain type of operations. So, it's all a control factor. So don't get bought up that Carvana isn't got its act together. It's more about the politics of business. It's ridiculous. It's really sad. Because I've run into people like, oh, Carvana's the worst. They don't do this and that. It's like, you don't get it. The car dealerships are deliberately making it them very challenging for them to do business in these states. So there's a lot of more to that than you realize. So anyways, you hear that rev match right there, huh? Yeah, we like that. So anyways, Carvana right now, is in, believe it or not, with the car market being where it's at, the used car market, you would think they'd be doing killer business, and originally they were. But here's the thing, they're not offering numbers like they used to. So I'll give you an example. Before I trade my vehicles in, I'll go to Carvana, Vroom, check my VIN. I'll go to different companies out there to get a general idea what my vehicle's worth. And I use that as a tool to bargain my deals to get cars. Well, the latest deal with Carvana, it was like 12 grand less than what the dealer gave me for my ST. It was disgusting. I mean, it was ridiculous. Here's a $50,000 Explorer that they're offering me basically like 35 grand for. Are you kidding me? So something's going on. I do know that they're being challenged and they're expanding too quickly. So it'll be interesting to see how the Carvana, plays out. Not hearing a lot about CarMax. You'd have to honestly believe that CarMax is kicking butt because, they've been around so long and they're kind of the business model now that the new car dealers are going to have to follow. I mean, it's incredible to think that the CarMax business model is now borderline the new car dealership's business model. I mean, it's truly incredible of where the car market industry, how it's changing. All right, you hearing this car? This car just sounds so good. I had a guy make a comment on my Add Another Mustang video that these things are a piece of junk. I get it. I understand. I've heard that more than once. And the M82 transmission's junk, and I've heard that many times. And I can kind of feel that little bit of slop in this transmission because I got the Tremec in my other vehicles, if you know what I mean. So I do know the car, and I do know the different transmissions, and so. All right, we're getting closer to LA 10, so follow me along with more Saturday morning conversations. I don't think there's going to be a Sunday morning car show. All right, here we are at LA Tent Manassas. Wow, got another guy going here too, right ahead of me. All right, here at LA Tent. We're going to do her up. 25. It's incredible. I'm learning from these guys that, it doesn't matter where your vehicle is registered. When you drive through state of Virginia, it doesn't matter if your car is registered in Florida, Tennessee, that if you drive through Virginia and your car's tint isn't Virginia's legal tint laws, and they pull you over for speeding, let's just say, and the police officer wants to check your tint on your windows, they can write that ticket as well. That's crazy. And I've questioned the gentleman that runs LA Tint here numerous times. He's like, no. He's like, state of Virginia, you're driving through. If your car is not have the Virginia laws tint code, and it's not a first offense, meaning a police officer cannot pull you over in Virginia for them wanting to check your tinted windows. It's a secondary offense. So you have to be doing something else that's not legal or getting yourself in trouble. And then if they want to just keep on adding to the bill and the ticket, they can put their little, tint meter reader. And if you're not of the Virginia, legal tint, then they can add that to your ticket, even though the vehicle's not registered to the state of Virginia, which I think that's kind of ridiculous. That you've got a vehicle that's registered in a different state with different guidelines, and now you're going to get penalized for being in a state that you don't live in with your vehicle. Man, it's all about communication and knowledge. But anyways, hey, here we are. So they think let's just keep the same theme all the way around. They think the pretty dark color will make her look pretty rock solid. All right, there she is. Another LA Tint. Good Lord, 2 in one less than a week. I'm going to go give him some frickin' money, right? All right, so getting ready to settle up here at LA Tint. And what number car is this, Mr. LA Tint? Do you know which number? Is this number 54 or 55?
This is your third one, I think.
Yeah. So I've been coming here for close to 10 years. I think this is like number 55.
56. You're
56. Number 56. And have I ever gotten a free tint? Nope. Free? What's free?
You ever got a free meal at McDonald's?
There you go. There you go. See, there's your answer. All right. Leaving LA Tint Manassas. Number 56. Oh my gosh. Did you hear that? Number 56 car I've had tinted within the last 10 years. I mean, come on, man. Yeah, do I get a freebie out of all of them? Yeah, what's free? What's free? Hey, here's a bunch of Mustangs, right? You think you're so special, right? There's a white one right there, right? You're like, yeah, look at that. There's one just like what you're driving, right? Pretty much. But this definitely has been lowered. That's for sure. So the question is, it's probably about the same package. Hey, more than one person has good taste, right? Yeah. Yeah, this car definitely, we looked at the spring. It's a different front spring in the car. So for sure, it's been lowered for a lower stance, which is nice. So, yeah, exciting, right? On a rainy day. Now I got to do some driving time on it. Wow, I'm really amazed how this car is soaking up the bumps. I'm just amazed. I mean, I don't think this car has MagneRide, until I can get in the inner fender well. But, I swear that the sales guy pulled a window sticker on this vehicle. I mean, this car is really fun. The brakes are just so damn touchy, too. The guy at the LA Tint shop pulled it in, and he's like, oh my gosh, this thing about to snap my neck. Due to the brakes are just so tight. So, I'm just really amazed if this car doesn't have the MagneRide. I'm just taken back. And the reason I say this is I've driven some other Mustangs without the MagneRide, and I can definitely feel, just a different ride. The MagneRide's that electronic shock that absorbs the bumps. It's a huge engineering design that favors the ride of the vehicle. But right now, if I'm driving this car today, and I'm just taken back on how nice it rides. And keep in mind, the person put a lowering spring in the front of this vehicle, so that usually has an impact on the ride as well. That it's going to be stiffer, and choppier. So just wow. And the exhaust here, I just went out and bought a Resonator Delete exhaust pipe, and this thing sounds just really good. And just ordered a freaking lift. Yeah, everybody's watching the channel. Even for me, I'm like, I should cancel out an order. I think I'm just gonna have. I don't know. It's just I work on my cars. That's pretty cool. I've never had a lift in all my years. So part of me is like, yeah, why don't you get a lift? It would be worthwhile for all the things I do with my vehicles, but it's a chunk of freaking money. Yeah, some of you be like, oh yeah, I'll see that on eBay in the 6 months or a year from now, right? And I'll get the deal off of you. Yeah, possibly. Hope not, but you never know. Wow, I just drove by a dealership down here, and oh my gosh, it's just incredible on how I'm in the wrong lane, so I'm having to get over in an area that I'm not used to being in. So the whole car dealership is a Ford dealership. It's a Kuhn's dealership in Woodbridge, Virginia, and the whole dealership is used cars. It's like driving by a CarMax. It's just incredible. It's beyond believable what we're seeing today, more than ever, especially in my generation. Oh my gosh, the whole automotive industry in the next 10 years, it's going to be a total reset of how vehicles are used and purchased. There's just no doubt in my mind that as the technology advances for these drone type of vehicles, self-driving vehicles, that's going to happen. I know, maybe it's going to happen in certain areas, not everywhere, but it's going to be capable in certain areas. Your suburban, your cities. And so, the whole business model of the car industry over the next 10 years is going to be a whole different business model. It's not going to be what it is today. It's going to be online ordering your vehicle. It's going to be online ordering a vehicle to come pick you up and take you somewhere. The ownership of vehicles is going to change. And I just hit a big bump, and this car just soaks it up. I'm going to be eating my words like never before if this vehicle doesn't have MagneRide, because that's been a huge, one of my preferred options in a vehicle. Isn't that Rev Mansion? It's just, a really great feature. And this car is just soaking up the bumps. So, over the next 10 years, the whole, and here's the thing, Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, you have to wonder, you just have to believe his goal is just to shrink the Ford dealership, network and the people that work in it. There's just his business model that he's moving forward with. I heard that he just laid off 500 engineers. Yeah, Ford's CEO just laid off 500 engineers. To me, that's not comforting, but yet what I'm hearing is, oh no, they got better engineers. All right, but why did they lay off the 500 engineers? Is it because a competitor outdid them? The thoughts are that GM, outdid them in production and sales. So Jim Farley's all mad, and for that reason, he wants to make changes. And once again, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's great. So concerning to me that you're buying cars that engineers don't know how to develop them. Is that the message? That you just let go of 500 people because they did a terrible job? That's not very comforting. So, a lot of change going forward. It's going back to my conversation here, that's been the Saturday morning conversation, is the used car market. The used car market's rewriting the whole, a new chapter in the automotive industry. And when driving by these dealerships, anybody's out and about, you're like, yeah. And yes, I know there's dealerships out there that still have new car products, but I'm talking about Ford at this moment. But the rumor is Toyota's going that direction. I would think that if the business model starts to play out, I don't know, I just have a hard time believing. You just have to say to yourself, if you're a guy that works out of your truck and you get something happens to it where you got to get rid of it, or it's crashed, or you want to get rid of it and you need a new truck, and you go to the Ford dealership, there's no new truck and no nice used Ford truck, you're going to have no option to go to the GM or the Ram, GMC, whatever. Maybe Toyota, who knows? I mean, it just seems like Ford is just, wow. It's a very interesting times ahead for all of us as I keep on rehashing, right? As I enjoy my 2020 used GT50 Oxford White Mustang that I bought. And a lot of people, what's interesting is I've got a lot of I'm getting some people that are like, oh, you're crazy. You just bought your daughter another Mustang after she crashed that one. And it's like, well, yes, it's about the daughter and the Mustang. But I mean, no, I get to drive it. It is kind of like my car. But yeah, can she drive it? Yes. Was it about her? Yes. But is this like her only car she's going to drive? No. She's got that Bronco. That Bronco is her favorite. In all reality, she didn't ask me to buy her another Mustang. She would tell you right now in my video that my dad didn't buy me our Mustang. I love my Bronco. I'm happy. I like the Bronco. That's fine. It's good enough. For me, I'm just a car nut that's always buying and trading cars. And I was able to make a deal, go down and getting rid of one vehicle for another vehicle. That's really what it played out. Me just buying this outright and add another vehicle? Nope. No. Forget that. Ain't doing that. So, that's not what played out. All right, continue the used car conversations and follow me along. These Mustangs, as I talk so much, it's a thing about the interior. The car, this car brings me memories to a degree of my Corvettes. I think that's what really kind of got me on these Mustangs is, I had a bunch of vets, and as you get older, you just kind of get tired of crawling in out of the Corvette. I do, it's just, you have to crawl in and crawl out Corvette. I can guarantee you there's many stories of people that are older that will tell you that, yeah, I can't drive my Vet anymore because my health just doesn't allow me to enjoy that product, and had to get rid of it, or whatever it may be. So for me, what I'm resonating back to you is the Mustang product today is so much like my C5, C6, I'd say more the C6 generation, to a degree C7 too. Just a really, comfortable car for the most part, practical, believe it or not. You can do a lot with those Corvettes, and just the space, and then since I've ridden around in Challengers so many years, that's the first thing that really kind of, gave me a heads up. It's like these Mustangs just really are, fun cars that just radiate that sports car feel. And that exhaust, that rev match exhaust is just so much fun. I'm sure you're hearing that as I'm driving the car right now. It's just a lot of fun. It just gives you that, feeling you're in that performance vehicle. It's all about the exhaust. Remember, I made that whole video about it's all about this exhaust. I just thought of something. Man, I'm driving this car now more than my Mach 1. It's pretty incredible that I bought that Ford Mustang Mach 1, and I drove that car home from the dealership, and my daughter drove it to the car show once, and I've driven it to the car show, I believe, once. Oh my gosh, that's going to go down as the record on my kid's horseback ride. And if she gets back earlier than I do, she'll be like texting me, Dad, what are you doing? Why are you driving the car? Dad, you can't drive the car. No, Dad, bring it home. You know, she's not really like that. I mean, she understands, she gets it, and I'm kind of wanting to surprise her. You know what I mean? I'll be like, oh, I'm just driving around to have fun, and then I'll get back home and go, look here. You know, I can't get over that window tint law. You know, I showed one video here that I'm keep on forgetting to mention. This does have the hill assist check-off mark to do that. It just wasn't checked off when I was driving it at the first time. So this car does have it's just in a different, it's just in the settings. The former owner didn't have it, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why you wouldn't have that. You know, on hill assist, that's a great feature for you to be able to get off the line on a hill, you know, without revving the engine too much. But yeah, I'm still taken back by the comments that if you have a vehicle registered in a different state that has different laws, that when you drive through another state, they can penalize you. I just don't believe that. I mean, I am taken back that, you know, if you drive through Virginia and you've got a modified exhaust on your car that's registered in, say, Montana, that a Virginia police officer writes you a ticket when the law of Montana says that that's legal. How does that work? I don't understand that at all. You know, I mean, each state has different laws. You know, so what you do in one state, right. So, I mean, I get all that. But if you have a registered vehicle to one state, once again, I'm going to have to research that. I'm sure somebody watching my YouTube channel probably has more information than I do, and they'll probably be like, oh yeah, no, I've been on forums where other people have made these comments. It's kind of gone back and forth. There was a guy that lives in Ohio, and he was saying if you drive in the state of Ohio with your Virginia car and it's got something that's not legal in Ohio, they can pull you over and write you a ticket. I don't get that at all. That makes no sense to me. I mean, geez. Anyways, just thoughts on that. Yeah, I'm amazed that these Mustangs don't get better mileage. You know, my Hellcats would get that mileage and even 22 miles a gallon, and they had 770 or 700 horsepower. The supercharger helped it a little bit more free-spirited. Yeah, do we supercharge this badass boy? Oh my gosh. Yeah, do we do that? Wow, right? All these brakes, they're so taut. Wow. Hey, I just thought to myself, I gotta go by and see my Motorcycles of Dulles friends. I haven't been here in ages. The Indian Triumph BMW dealership. And wow, where is everybody, right? It's raining, right? Yeah, we know what that means, right? All right, let's check out the India. I haven't been here in ages. Yeah, somebody's saying, yeah, right. You haven't been there in ages? Uh-huh, sure. Hey, I left the Indian dealer without buying a damn thing. How about that, huh? That's great news. All right, continue on and talk to you next time, right? All right, 6,000 miles. Now, does anybody get this? Ground speed. I mean, is there something that I don't know about this car? Is this car a fly? I don't think I've seen that in a Speedo before. Ground speed? I mean, okay, all righty there. So, yeah. Does this thing get to, go so fast it gets airborne or something? Oh yeah, isn't that about the truth, right?